Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another MAMJ Let's Play of Root Double Before Crime. When we left off, we had so many near misses, but now it's time to get back into, you know, the nitty gritty, which is death is all around us. Well, at least the danger of death is all around us. Let's see what happens to our lovely group of people this time around. Eventually, June cut up the atmosphere with a teasing voice.
Yeah, 約束だね、隊長。鬼の副隊長にハグしてもらえるとはさ。
Oh, Lieutenant Stoneface, that's not nice. They called her like an Oni in Japanese, which is not like, I mean, it translates to demon, but it's not like evil. It's more like just mean-spirited, I guess. The three of them turned around in surprise to see the rest of the group grinning at them.
若干焼けるね。完全にいいところを持っていかれた気分だ。
まあ、それだけのことをしたんだもの。ユーリさんが助かったのは彼のおかげよ。
Thanks, Anna. Watase shook his head at that comment.
いや、俺一人の力じゃ無理だったさ。ユーリを助けることができたのはみんなのチームワークの賜物だよ。
Everyone smiled embarrassingly when Watase said that.
ところで隊長さん、頭の後ろから血が出てるけど。
Oh yeah, faints.
そういや、そうだったな。
ほら、こっちに背中を向けて、カイロンをつけてあげる。
Oh, I forgot we have that, the Chiron. Anna took out the medical ointment they'd found earlier, but Yuri timidly spoke up.
それ、私にやらせてください。
I was actually wondering if Yuri was okay or not.
その傷、私のせいだから。
Aww.
そうね。ここはユーリさんにお願いするわ。ね、隊長さん。
あ、じゃあ頼むよ、ユーリ。
Fix me up real nice, okay? Yuri took the Chiron from Anna and walked around to Watase's backside. She applied the ointment to her fingertips, then rubbed them against the wound on the back of Watase's head. He could feel the gentle movements of her fingers. Before long, Yuri spoke in surprise. What?
どうした？
今気づきました。隊長さんの髪って一束だけ白いんですね。
Look, he's stressed, alright?
そうなのか。自分じゃ自分の頭は見えないから知らなかったな。
そうなんですよ。なんだかカササギの羽みたいです。
Okay.
カササギ？
鳥の名前です。一本だけ白い羽を持ってる、とっても賢い鳥なんですよ。
And here I thought I was just going to be learning about fires. I'm going to learn about bird wildlife too.
もしや俺の名字のカササギもそこから取られてるのか。
Yes, you're a reincarnated bird. I'm calling it here, folks. Anna interjected at Watase's light joke.
そんなわけないでしょうが。何適当なこと言ってんのよ。
なんだよ先生。ちょっとした冗談じゃないか。俺はユーリを和ませようとしてだな。
あらそう？あなたタフで男前だけど、ジョークのセンスはいまいちみたいね。
Okay, so he's like dad level jokes, right? But that's okay. If it works, it works.
厳しいな、相変わらず。
Yuri let out an amused laugh at the conversation. Oh, it's so nice to see her happy. Watase and Anna also smiled when they heard her laugh. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've ever heard Yuri laugh. Hanging in there really did pay off. Yuri finished applying the ointment to Watase, then addressed everyone in the room.
隊長さん、皆さん、助けてくれてありがとうございました。
That's so adorable.
いえいえ、本当にご無事で何よりでした。
そうだね。ここまで来て要救助者に何かあったんじゃ、あたしらレスキュー失格だもんね。
Fair enough. I say that a lot, don't I? I realize. I'm just agreeing. Watase sighed in exasperation as he looked up at the collapsed ceiling. It was at that moment he spotted something. No, more like his attention was drawn by it. What?
隊長どうなさいましたか？まさかまた崩れてきそうとか？
いや、思いついたんだ。あのゲートを開ける方法を。
Which is?
本当に？
ああ、あれを使えばよかったんだよ。
Watessa is pointing at a crane hanging down from the ceiling.
エンジンカッターでゲートに切り込みを入れて、そこにクレーンを引っ掛け、無理やりこじ開ければ。
It might work.
試してみる価値はありそうですね。でもあのクレーンちゃんと動くのかしら？
待ってくれ、僕が調べてみよう。
Ukta ran alongside the wall, then started operating a controller sitting there.
動いた。使えるぞ。
Good! That's awesome!
それでは早速取り掛かりましょう。
Maybe we'll get out of here today.
エンジンカッターも持ってきたからちょうどよかったよ。
Awesome. The group all nodded at each other, then headed over to the gate that was barring their way. Barring? Barring, yeah. I speak English sometimes.
みんな下がってて。
That's loud. June started up the engine cutter, then ran a spinning blade into the gate. A flurry of sparks bathed her body. Oh god, it's so loud. I wish I could hear her curse in English. It was my favorite part. Doria! I can't hear you. Okay. Thank God. That was loud. I might be able to fix a little bit of it in editing, but oh sweet lord, my ears. Watase studied the gate to see there is now indeed a small notch etched into the spot where June had cut.
上出来だ。あとはこの切れ目にクレーンを引っ掛けよう。おっさん、頼む。了解した。
Ukita nodded and started operating the crane again.
オーライオーライオーライ、はいストップです。
Kazami hooked the crane's hook into the recently carved
みん
notch.
な、念のため後ろに下がるんだ。
Watase waited until everyone had complied, then gave Ukita a hand signal. Ukita nodded again, then pressed a switch on the controller. The crane's chain rewound up to the ceiling, causing the hook to pull tight against the gate as it did. Watase prayed as he observed the scene play out before him. Please work. Just then, the gate started creaking in the blink of an eye. The notch then widened even further and opened up to create an opening large enough for people to walk through it.
よし、完璧だ。
Is it really that easy?
やったやったやったやったよ。
Oh, she's so happy. The opening was big enough for even someone of Watase's stature to fit through it. They could vaguely see what appeared to be the lift control panel through the darkness.
よかった。
Are we getting out?
ね、これでもう安心よ。
どうやらうまくいったようだね。
ええ、すみませんでした、浮田さん。
I don't think it's going to be that
民間の方に
easy.
手伝っていただいて。
I would love for it to be. I'd love for these guys to get out of here, but
いやー、何？ここから脱出できるなら何でもするさ。
everyone's faces had brightened now that they could get through the gate that had been causing them so much grief. Watase also found himself spontaneously break out into a smile. Thank God, now we finally secured an escape route. It was true that they hadn't found all the survivors yet, but now they could get at very least Yuri, Enna, and Ukita out of there. Enna, Tachibana, Moribe, Yuri. Oh, I like all of them. Alright, I'll leave Enna and June down low and Kazami and Yuri up high. That's fine, that sounds good. Plus, this would mean that they'd no longer have any problems with AD and could also get backup from the rescue workers on the surface. Watase breathed a sigh of relief, looked at his comrades' faces, and then spoke to Ukita.
やったな、おっさん。ああ、
He's not really
まだ
old,
問題
but
は多いがとりあえずこれでよしとしよう。そうだな。残りの要救助者の件もあるし。
A gloomy look clouded Ukita's face. I see. So it's actually only going to get tougher for the old man after this. With a large crisis as a meltdown happening in their workplace, Ukita and his fellow staff members would doubtlessly be forced to take some level of responsibility for it. Ukita had risked tooth and nail to escape this hell alive, all while being aware of that heavy responsibility. Well, I mean, compared to death, I think it's fair, right? So the old man must have had his own worries the whole time. Watase gave Ukita a thankful pat on the shoulder. He then looked at the others. They were all covered in soot and dust, but they were still smiling. It was thanks to all of them that they were able to make it this far without losing a single life. Yeah, you're welcome. I, redid some choices, but that's fine. There'd been many a time where they'd almost given up, but they'd not lost heart, not even once. No matter how seemingly hopeless the situation, humans have the will to never give up and to keep moving forward, huh? It was the will to live that had welled up from the deepest part of their hearts. It felt like the sole light of hope that shined through their despair. Hope isn't something as simple as an escape route or AD. Hope is the fact that all of us are comrades who fought through to support each other through thick and thin. Watase's heart warmed at that thought. He held back his surge of emotions and spoke up.
よし、そんじゃ脱出するか。
じゃあ私が先に入って安全を確かめるよ。
Be careful, Jun.
頼みますよ、森部。
I don't want anybody to die, okay?
はい、任せて。
Jun went through the opening in high spirits as the others saw her off. However, not even a second later... Why? Jun's scream pierced through the darkness on the other side.
森部、何事ですか？
Oh god, I probably shouldn't have let her go. The rest of the group gulped and went through the opening. Oh, that's sabotaged. The room they entered was about 9 square meters in size. There was a cargo lift for supplies big enough for people to fit on, lying on the other side of the room, just as the manual had said. Jun was standing in front of it, frozen like a statue.
森部、何があった？
Another one? Another body? Jun pointed to the side of the lift as she said that in a trembling voice. Watase was rendered speechless at the sight. Is it a bad time to take a sip of my drink? Who are you? Oh. Lying there was the body of a girl.
誰なんだ、この子は。
I don't know.
その、鳥羽真白って子か？
Why do I feel like she's going to be linked to Yuri? But Enna, her face as white as a sheet, quickly answered in a low voice.
違うわ。
何？じゃあ誰の？
Everyone just stared at the body of the girl who no one knew, and who'd never even come up once until this point. A hole had been pierced through her stomach. A gunshot wound. The blood that had poured out of it had already dried up into a dark color. She had undoubtedly been murdered. But when that happened, something that no one knew, and a bigger question was, why did someone kill this girl? The girl's face was completely expressionless. There wasn't a hint of fear or pain to be seen. She just stared at the floor with hollow eyes. Everyone was utterly dumbstruck. The room was now as silent as a tomb. It wasn't long before Ukita let out another surprised gasp.
No.
He slowly staggered over to the panel. The lift's control panel was lying next to the girl. Had been completely destroyed, as if someone had intentionally broken it. Ukita silently tried to work it, but nothing even happened after he pressed the switch. The lift didn't make a sound. Ukita then hit the panel in what seemed like resignation, then shook his head. A still air filled the small room yet again. It was Yuri who broke up the silence.
どうしてこんなことに。
I don't know. Somebody doesn't want us to make it out alive. Her voice, brimming with bewilderment and despair, echoed through the confined room. No one could answer her. Everyone just stood absolutely still, overcome with shock. Ooh, boy. Yeah, 6 hours until lockdown is lifted. Are you kidding me? Whew. The group had been guided by hope up until now. They had faith that there must be an escape route somewhere. The survivors must still live, awaiting rescue somewhere. And the cargo lift they found at the end of their search should have been their only escape route. But it had already been destroyed. There had never been any hope to begin with. Instead, all they'd found there was an unidentified body of a girl. The group was frozen in total shock. Everyone had been struck speechless by this unforeseen turn of events. Soon enough, Kazami
バイタルチェックを。
ran over to the girl with that declaration. She took off her vital checker and put it around the girl's wrist. Yeah. All 5 lights shone a bright red.
コンディションオールレッド。
She opened the girl's eyelids up wider and checked her
高
pupils.
3台。
Kazami laid the girl down and spoke.
森部、手伝いなさい。心肺蘇生を行います。
What?
はい。
Jun hurriedly sat down next to the girl. Kazami performed cardiac massage, 15 compressions. Jun performed artificial respiration, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond. Watase just stood there in blank amazement, unable to even do a thing. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. The girl didn't respond.
無理だ。
Ukuta kneeled beside the girl and muttered that. Kazami and Jun ignored him and continued their CPR. 15 compressions, 2 breaths.
もう死んでる。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths.
君たちは救えなかった。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths.
僕も。
15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. 15 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. Kazami didn't stop the CPR.
立花、もう。
Watase's words didn't seem to register with Kazami. Eventually, her watch alarm went off.
立花、AD の投与時間だ。聞こえてるか、おい。
What is going on? Because at first in my head I was like, well, maybe it's something they have to do whenever they come across somebody to ensure that they can say that they tried to revive the person. But we haven't done that with anybody else. Now, granted, everybody else was riddled with blood, yeah, and also bullet holes, and their bodies were contorted and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this girl has 1 gunshot wound, but I still don't know why they're doing it. Watase took out one of the AD ampules and administered it to himself. He then injected Enna and Yuri with 2 other ampules. Yuri was so out of it that she didn't even offer up one of her usual protests. I actually thought that was weird. I was like, is she okay with it now?
ほら、立花、お前たちも投与しろ。
Kazami didn't reply, but her lips faintly moved.
ないで。
What?
死なないで。渚。
Uh-oh. They know who she is. Jun knows too, doesn't she? Jun's eyes widened at that moment.
お姉ちゃん、この子は渚じゃないよ。
What? Nagisa? Confusion swept over Watase. Kazami didn't listen and continued her CPR attempts.
副隊長、もうやめよう。
Kazami finally stopped moving at the sound of Jun's cry.
立花。
He couldn't say anymore. Kazami quietly turned around towards Watase and spoke.
手を尽くしてはみましたが、死亡しています。
Yeah, I know. Kazami muttered that. Her face seemed absolutely devoid of life. The rest of the group chose that moment to speak up in terrified voices.
副隊長さん。
その、大丈夫なの？ご心配をおかけしました。もう大丈夫です。
She's carrying a lot of emotional baggage. Her tone of voice and the look on her face were the same as always, and full of harshness that wouldn't accept any further questions. What the hell just happened? Kazami had clearly been acting strange, but her attitude made it clear that she would reject any questions regarding the reason for her actions. However, there was one thing they all knew for sure. There's been yet another victim. The group left the room, their hearts full of melancholy. They left the girl's body where it was.
もし。
Huh? What? No sooner had they exited than did the Procyon alarm start beeping. What was the Moshi thing? Like, Moshi, okay. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of a Japanese lesson here. So, in Japanese, Moshi Moshi means hello, okay? Some of you probably know that. Although, it is specifically to when you answer a phone. You never say Moshi Moshi in any other situation. It's exclusively when you answer a phone. So, if somebody was saying Moshi, which in and of itself could be the word like maybe or perhaps, but because that translation said hello, I think it's supposed to be hello, which means it's somebody either trying to talk on the phone or maybe telepathically. I don't know the rules for answering telepathy when it comes to Japanese culture itself. Somebody will have to be the one to make me smart on that, I guess. But yeah, that is why I'm just kind of like, wait, why did they say Moshi, right? Okay, anyways, I'm done rambling. The reading on the display showed 4,000 millisieverts. Is that how you say it? I know it's milli now. You guys ran it into my brain. It appeared that the contamination had spread to the factory too, shooting their radiation levels up to the first danger standard. The whole facility could suffer the same fate if this keeps up. That was a problem just as grave as the body they'd just found. This means that they weren't guaranteed to survive in this hellish place even with AD.
立花、森部、おっさんも AD を投与するんだ。いろいろ気になることがあるとは思うが、頼む。
Yeah, you gotta extend your life as much as you can.
そうしよう。私たちだって死にたくないもん。
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. Their lives had been extended for another hour yet again, but this time, our escape route's been cut off. At this rate, we'll need to inject ourselves with AD 5 more times. But they'd already used up all the AD they had. Oh, remember when we had a surplus? They'd searched what felt like the entire facility so far, so unless they'd missed some AD somewhere, they'd all be exposed to radiation in just an hour. But in that case, does that mean we have to look through all the areas again? Search every nook and cranny in more depths than last time? He shook his head as soon as he thought that. With their one light of hope having been so cruelly snuffed out, all his fatigue was catching up to him at once. His body wasn't in perfect shape either, what with his cracked ribs and the cut on the back of his head. His eyes had been stung by smoke so many times suddenly started hurting. Everyone's faces were equally filled with bewilderment. No one said a word. They were all just so confused about the incredibly unexpected sight they'd seen in the room. But we still have to keep on searching. A voice started pouring out of Watase's PDA as he thought that. Hey, Commander! It was Commander Murakami again. Watase took out his PDA in shock.
カンあり、こちらカササギ、カンあり。
There was much more static on this radio transmission than the previous ones. Great.
司令長、聞こえないぞ。
Okay, they couldn't find anyone with a gun. Okay. They could tell he was saying something like, we couldn't find anyone with a gun, we can't confirm the killer here or
分
not.
かった。それからなんだ。
The commander desperately tried to give Watase's group the information they needed in the intervals between the loud bursts of static. It seemed like he was repeating the same message over and over again. The group gathered around Watase's PDA and did their best not to miss a single word. No, a single letter that he spoke. Okay. Shoot. God. Okay, Shoujo, the two girls, okay. I'm getting nothing. Iki! The transmission ended there. All that could be heard was white noise.
今のは要救助者の。
I think so? Watase put the PDA away, the ADP away. Kazami, who'd finally regained her wits, spoke up.
この施設に取り残されている可能性がある人物を我々に伝えようとしていたのでしょう。
なんて言ってたと思う？
つなぎ合わせると死者を含め取り残されてるのは
堂島と檜山、研究員2名、
Two researchers.
それから高校生3名。
Yep.
待って、それだけじゃない。最後にまだ何か言ってたわよ。
Two girls.
あ、確か少女2名とか。
Yudi's one.
少女って
And probably the other one was the one that we just found. Everyone's eyes focused on Yudi at once.
多分私のことだと思います。
だろうな。じゃあもう一人は
Yeah.
あの女の子が。
I think so. Watase then got to thinking. Out of all the people the commander had said were still trapped there, Dojima and Hiyama, the two researchers, and one of the girls were already dead. Apart from that, there was one other girl, Yuri, and 3 high school students.
やっぱりまだあの3人は脱出していなかったのか。
And it was taken aback by Watase's words.
じゃあ、あの子たちはどこかに倒れて、大変や、きっと見落としてしまったんだわ。落ち着いてください、椿山さん。彼らが移動している可能性もあります。
Very much so.
我々はなるべく固まって行動していました。そして捜索の道順はほぼいつも一方向だけでした。ならば行き違いになったと考えるのが妥当です。
The group had indeed searched all the areas, including the contaminated zones. So if Kazami's theory was correct, then it made total sense as to why they hadn't found them yet.
でも、だったらなおのことすぐ探しに行かなきゃ。
待て先生、その前に考えなきゃならんことがある。
何をよ。
今俺たちが置かれている状況についてだ。
Yeah, also how to escape? Watase was talking about the cargo lift room, the room with the body.
破壊されていた脱出口に見知らぬ少女の死体って。これは一体どういう状況なんだ。
There was no one who could answer that question. In the end, it was Kazami who broke the heavy silence.
状況を整理しましょう。私にはあの子がここから逃げようとして亡くなったように見えました。ほら、これを見てください。
Kazami then took a security card out of her pocket. The name Shuda Eriguchi was on it. It was with as were the words level
レ
N.
ベル N？ どうしたんだこれ。
It was ranked higher than the level 6 cards that the group had.
あの少女の遺体のそばに落ちていたんです。
Really?
彼女はこれを使って搬出リフトの前までやってきたのでしょう。
でもどうしてあの子こんなレベルの高いカードを。何者なの？
ゆりくん同様職員の家族か。
ただともかく彼女は必死でここまでたどり着き、しかし出口がないことに絶望して力尽きたと。
Yeah, you're forgetting the part about being shot?
でもだったら誰がリフトを壊したんだ。
Everyone's faces froze over at that question.
壊した。
あれはどう考えても偶然壊れたもんじゃない。誰かが意図的に壊したんだ。
あの子が壊したって可能性は？
ゼロじゃないが普通に考えればないだろう。
Yeah.
しかしいずれにせよそんなことをして何の得があるのですか？リフトのコンパネが壊されているということは壊した人は地下に残ったということです。
Yeah, we're also trapped.
しかしこんな場所に自ら残りたがる人がいるとは思えません。
それは
Watase didn't have a clue either. Who in their right mind would be willing to brave the risk of being trapped in this place to the point of cutting off their own escape route? But his thoughts were interrupted by Enna's subdued voice.
例の犯人じゃないの？
犯人って先生何の？
そこの子を殺した犯人よ。おそらく第3エリアで3人を殺したのと同一犯のね。
I mean, yeah, it's possible. I think it's multiple people though. I don't know why. I just think it's like a group of people acting some kind of plan out, right? Watase's mind flashed back for a second to the grotesque sight he'd witnessed in that room. Yeah, that is insane. That is not one person. 2 of the corpses had bullet wounds, just like the girl. Yeah, it is possible that the killer of those people is one and the same.
皆さんは今まであの3つの死体から目をそらしてきたわね。人殺しは逃げたということで犯人についての議論は棚上げにしていた。犯人探しはここから脱出してからやればいいと思っていたんでしょう。
ええ。
Kazami had sternly told everyone that back when they found the bodies.
でもその前提が狂ってしまった。どうやら脱出は容易じゃない。だからもう言わせてもらうわ。これはただの事故じゃないのよ。
Enna's sharp voice echoed in the silent factory. Also, should we like change locations because of the whole AD
ただ
situation?
の事故じゃないってどういうことだ。
脱出経路に銃殺体があったなら逃げようとしたところを撃ち殺されたと考えるのが普通でしょ。脱出不能な地下施設の中で殺人事件が起きた。だったらその閉鎖空間は犯人が作り出したものかもしれないじゃない。
そんな何のために？
どうしても殺したい相手がいてその人を殺すために残ったかもしれないわね。例えば核液が閉鎖されている間に全ての死体を焼いてしまえば証拠だって残らないもの。
やめろ先生、憶測が過ぎるぞ。いたずらに不安を煽ってどうする。
Watase finally grew sick of Enna's conspiracy theories and objected. But then Jun cut in.
ちょっと待って、二人とも。
Yeah, Jun?
何？いや、今までは関連性をあまり考えてなかったんだけど。
What's up with this epic music?
実は近頃6名士にこのラボがある町にテロリストが侵入したかもしれないんだよ。
Really?
テロリスト？
That sudden phrase left Watase in shock.
なぜそう思うの？信憑性に欠けるかもしれないけどそういう噂があったんだよ。最近町のあちこちで似たような事件が起きてたし昨日だって他の大きな研究施設が爆破されたんだ。
Well, why don't I remember? Oh, yeah, I have amnesia. Okay.
原子炉を狙ったテロ。ありえない話じゃないわね。やたらと起きていた爆発と火災、不自然に停止していた消火システム、考えてみれば明らかに人為的だもの。 それに原子炉を爆破でもすれば破壊活動としてはものすごい成果を上げられるものね。
Alright, I already was thinking this is like a group and also planned out, because there's no way all of that stuff, the sprinklers not working, the every single stairwell crumbling, like there's no way that would have happened. So it kind of alluded to this already. It's not a huge shock, but still sucks. If that theory was indeed correct, then it was no surprise that there'd be bullet holes in all those corpses. If the terrorists are truly behind this, that would also explain why so many unnatural situations have kept on piling up. But Ukita scoffed.
君たちは映画か何かの見過ぎじゃないのかね。
Oh, I love movies.
テロだって？バカバカしい。この施設の警備の厳重さを知らないのかね。原子炉を保有している施設は超法規的警備を行うことが認められている。自衛隊から出向した警備員がライフルとライアットガンを装備し24時間警備をしているんだ。
Okay, but what if those security team soldiers went rogue?
それを乗り越えてまでテロを敢行するなどフィクションの世界の話だよ。
言うわね。でも万全だったはずの防災システムも蓋を開ければざるだったじゃない。その警備の隙を突かれてテロリストの侵入を許したという可能性はどこかに抜け道があるんじゃないの？
抜け道ってそんなこと僕に分かるわけないだろ。
Then why are you all confident about it?
自説にこだわりすぎて論理性を失ってるよ君は。
そう。事実あそこにも見知らぬ少女が侵入しているわけだし。
Look at Anna throwing the logic down.
あなたの信頼する警備システムとやらも信頼に足るとは思えないわ。
Dang.
そんなにも我が施設の責任にしたいのかね君は。
Ukita and Anna felt like they were standing right next to a powder keg ready to explode. Yuri timidly pleaded to them. But then, someone least expected also spoke up.
確かにテロリストの存在については一応考慮するべきかもしれませんね。
Kazami, I swear you better be on my side through this entire game, okay?
何？
隊長、信じてくれるの？
ええ、多少は。しかしテロリストなんてものが実際にいたと仮定しても、やはり以前も申し上げた通り、犯人は隔壁の閉鎖前に脱出している可能性が高いと思います。
Very possible.
それはどういう根拠で？
テロリストも我々同様閉じ込められたとしたら、隔壁封鎖からすでに5時間近く経ってますが、なぜこうも姿を現さないのでしょうか。銃を持っているのなら我々を人質に取るなり AD を取り上げるなり、いくらでもできるはずです。
They could steal all of our AD, although now we have
なの
none.
にそれをしない。どう考えても不自然です。以上が私の考えです。
Sound decision, logic making.
さっきの通信で銃を持った人間は地上に脱出してはいないと言っていたわよね。それについては？
どこかに銃を捨てればいいだけの話です。そして隔壁閉鎖直前のあの大パニックに紛れ込めば、いくらでも逃げることができるでしょう。
It was a well thought out, logical reasoning that befitted someone like Kazami.
私もそう思います。
Yuri voiced her own opinion, a rather rare occasion to say the least.
待ってよ副隊長、そう考えるのは早計じゃない？
何ですか森部。
いつも私に言ってんじゃん。現状では最悪の事態を常に想定しろって。もしテロリストが地下に残ってたら危険の質が全然変わってくるでしょ。
それとこれとは別種の話です。我々は刑事じゃありませんよ。
でも可能性を考慮することは大事だわ。
So be on alert, but also don't make jumps into conclusions that don't actually make any sense.
では何かね、地下に残っている9人の中にテロリストが紛れ込んでいるとでも？
Probably.
まさか君は自分の生徒を疑うのかね？
何をバカなことを言ってんのよ。そんなこと誰も言ってないでしょ。
ではこの6人の中にテロリストがいると？それはますますありえません。この中に悪意のある人間が混ざっていたとしたら、
We have one imposter among us.
今よりはるかに苦境に立たされているはずです。
Everyone was voicing their own opinions, and Watase thought they all had their own good points. But having this debate drag on for so long was truly getting unpleasant.
わかった。ちょっと落ち着こうみんな。
Watase could be a terrorist and he just forgot.
何よ隊長さん、あなただけ何も意見を言ってないじゃない。
わかってる。でもとりあえず一度自説は引っ込めて。
But before Watase could say any more, a shock ran through his head. Okay. And right after that, countless scenes flashed through his brain. What? Watase was confused by this random phenomenon. The events of the last few hours flashed before him. Everything from when he'd woken up to Area 1 to arriving in Area 6. It all streamed past his eyes like a muddy stream for some reason. And then disappeared. Weird.
何を急に黙って。
And then the others were staring at Watase with wide eyes. But he was so surprised that he was at a complete loss for words. What the hell was that? It was clearly bizarre. It wasn't like he'd been reflecting on his memories. No, this is totally different. He'd remembered everything that had happened up until this point in a second, and in such minute detail at that. And at that exact moment, he made several connections about a few of the things he'd observed up until now. Wait a minute. Let's say there is a terrorist down here. Which one of the 9 trapped in this facility would be the most likely suspect? Oh, it's time to save. Are we about to solve something? I don't know if it's a murder or a terrorist case or sabotage or who knows, right? Suspicions started faintly flaring up in Watase's heart. They swiftly grew bigger. Ukita, he has been helpful, but also not. But I feel like he's too easy of being suspicious. Because he would be, my gut instinct is Ukita, but that's too easy. This game, it's big brain. It's big brain time, okay? It's not Ukita. They swiftly grew bigger. He said that Labo security is so strict that no terrorist could ever sneak in. But the old man's staff member here, it would have been easy for him to let the terrorist in. What are the odds that there's a loophole in security Teach was asking about could be the old man Ukita? I trust her, but I don't think... I'm guessing this is to decide whether or not Ukita is bad, and I don't think he's bad just because of what I was just talking about. No, wait, it's not restricted to the old man. Maybe he's one of the other researchers who's already evacuated. Those doubts begot even more doubts. No, what if it's the other way around? What are the odds that Teach is a terrorist? Now that I think about it, her reason for being here is flimsy to begin with. We have no clue she was really summoned here by a staffer. But Watase immediately denied those suspicions. Yeah, I would too. It better not be either of y'all, okay? Because if it is, you're fired. Anna was a normal teacher no matter what angle one viewed her from. There was nothing about her that seemed remotely like a terrorist. What about Tachibana and Moribe? There's nothing strange about anything they've said and done. They've always acted in the interest of everyone's safety. I'm sure I can trust them. In fact, isn't the reason that the lockdown is still going on? The thing that's fishy here? Is it really because of the radiation leakage control system? His doubts just kept on summoning more doubt. But something was bizarre. Putting aside the images that he'd seen and his chain of rising doubt, it feels like someone is commanding me to recall everything you've seen so far and to think about the path that has led you up until this point. But who could have that someone be? Watase looked over at everyone's faces. He was just as perplexed about the phenomenon as he had been from the start. He glanced at Kazami, Jun, Ukita, Ena, and then Yuri, right? Hang on. I think my mouse died? Hold up a second. Did it really? Okay, I can hit enter, so I guess we're gonna go with that, but I'm pretty sure my mouse just died. Is it? It has to be a wireless mouse, so it's gotta have a battery in it, right? I don't know. I'll mess with it later. It was then that he noticed it. Yuri was gone. Watase's surprise declaration sent everyone turning around.
まさかまた逃げたの？
ユリさん
That's not good. Kazami frantically looked around. Watase also turned around and saw the Area 5 gate open, Yuri running through it.
そんなどうやってゲートを
She took the card.
セキュリティカードを隠し持っていたの。
No, she took the level N card.
いいから追いましょう
The group all broke off into a dash at once. Area 5, Outer Ring B2. Kazami spoke up to the rest of the group as they all ran in there.
我々もはぐれる可能性があります。見つけても見つからなくても10分後に脳科学実験室に集合しましょう。
Watase checked the time on his watch. It said 12:31 p.m. The group all gave similar answers and split up. Kazami and Jun kept going straight towards Area 4. They probably planned to seal off the other exits before Yuri could flee to another area. Ena and Ukita checked all the nearby rooms. And so, Watase headed for the inner ring. I don't think Moribe ever told Yuri that the inner ring was a contaminated zone. If she ran there, then that means... Watase's thoughts were interrupted by a voice echoing in his head. Save her? It was the first time in a while he'd heard that auditory hallucination. Watase headed to the contaminated zone as if guided by that voice. He ran through the connecting passageway and plunged straight into the inner ring. His Prokyon's alarm immediately started beeping. The indicator read 9,355 millisieverts, but he ignored it and started shouting. Yuri! Yuri! He checked every single room in his search, but Yuri was nowhere to be seen. To be safe, Watase went back to the elevator hall. And that was where he found her. Yuri! Upon hearing Watase's shout, Yuri twitched with the start and turned around.
やっぱり追ってきてくれたんですね。
やっぱりって、そりゃそうだろ。それよりユーリ、ここは危険なんだ。汚染区域なんだよ。
A troubled smile rose to Yuri's face at those words.
そうなんですか。なのに隊長さんは私のために飛び込んできてくれた。
Yeah, 'cause I'm awesome.
ユーリ。
Yuri paid no heed to Watase's confusion and looked him dead in the eye.
いつもそうやって心配してくれるんです。
We have a history.
だったらどうしてあの時あんなひどいことをしたんですか？
What happened?
何？
Watase gasped. He had no recollection of ever doing anything of the sort.
ひどいことって。
It's when we first met her, she looked terrified of us.
本当に忘れてしまったんです。
That's what happens when you have amnesia. Her voice was filled with some unknown emotion.
私はもう少しで死んでしまうところでした。
a mixture of confusion and terror.
火の中に置き去りにされて本当に怖かった。
Her words were shaking Watase up.
なのに私を助けたのも隊長さんだった。
Watase felt something new gripping his heart.
どういうつもりなんですか？
An intense fear.
ユーリ、何を言っているんだ。
He somehow knew that Yuri was about to reveal something truly horrifying. We were both terrorists. Something he didn't know. Something he shouldn't know. But Yuri shook her head.
あなたにわからないんだったら私にもわかりません。
I'm laying down all my money, which is like nothing. Okay, I'll lay down 2 dead batteries in my computer mouse that Watase was a terrorist and he lost his memories.
私にはもう何もわからないんです。
Yuri quietly walked over to him.
だからお願いです。隊長さん、教えてください。あなたの心。
Well, it's kind of confused. Yuri said that and turned her palm towards Watase, only for a bizarre scene to play back through his head. It was a memory he had no recollection of. Something was grabbing his wrist. Ha! It then laughed ominously. The man spotted a broken wristwatch out of the corner of his eye, and a second later, he was assaulted by an intense pain akin to his brain being crushed. Something else was also welling up inside Watase. It was unmistakably fear. And Watase felt that very same emotion towards the girl standing right before him. Alright, dude. Watase immediately ran out of the elevator hall. Once he shut the door, he suddenly came to his senses. What am I doing? Why did I need to run from Yuri? She's Yuri. She's not that monster. Just as he thought that, a sharp pain shot through his head. Watase held his head and screamed. The scream echoed in his skull, jumbling his thoughts into disorder. What the hell is this? I've never felt anything like this until now. Is this radiation damage? Is this because I've been to contaminated zones several times? He had a horrible headache, like something was piercing through his head and scrambling his brain. The pain spread to his whole body, and his stomach felt like he was being stretched out. Okay, dude. Watase threw up. There was nothing in his stomach, so all that came up was stomach acid mixed with blood that splattered all over the hallway. His consciousness was fading away quickly. My memories were shattered back then, and my past self's memories, my... What? Feel better? Watase screamed again and forced his consciousness to stay where it was. His memories had been muddled by that intense headache. He looked down to find that there was red vomit at his feet. What just happened to me? What was I doing? He shuffled through his memories and quickly remembered he'd been searching for Yuri. If I suffered this damage from the radiation, then Yuri's in danger. That frail girl could never survive in such a dangerous place. The only thing Watase felt was concern for her. It felt like he'd been feeling some other sort of emotion for her, but whatever it was, it had completely vanished. Watase spat out the disgusting taste filling his mouth. He then ran back over to the elevator hall. But Yuri was no longer there. There was nowhere to run from the elevator hall, so where had she gone? Watase opened the elevator doors with that thought. The elevator car was still up on the surface floors, just as it had been earlier. Watase climbed up the ladder through the darkness. But when he got to B1, Yuri was nowhere to be found. Okay, I seriously need batteries. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna get some batteries. Just hold on. It won't even be that long, okay? Just, you guys think about stuff. Talk about it in the comments. I'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere, okay? All right, these are gonna work, okay? Because they're from my TV remote. So if they don't work, then I really have nothing else I can use. There we go. It's lit up. It's good, ladies and gentlemen. All right, sorry to make you worry. Let me throw these headphones back on. You guys good? Did you guys like, comment, and subscribe while I was gone looking for batteries? Yay, it works. Okay. But when he got to B1, Yuri was nowhere to be found. So I'm gonna save. Oh, not on that one. Sorry, new mouse, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll stick with that for now and we'll see what happens. Watase ran around the block. However, even after looking through all the rooms, there was still no hide nor hair of Yuri to be found. Why? Where did she go? However, he was wondering why she hadn't. Wondering why she was gone wouldn't do any good. He had to keep searching.
Yuri! どこにいるんだ! Yuri!
He ran towards the outer ring as he shouted that. Once he approached the connecting passageway, he saw Kazami and Jun.
立花! 森部!
隊長
The two of them rushed over to him as soon as they heard his calls.
ゆりちゃんいた
For a little bit, yeah.
ついさっき内周島で見かけたが見失った。
こっちもです。第4エリア側に行かないようにゲート周辺を固めていたのですが。
どこにもいない。
The three of them all exchanged glances.
消えた。なぜだ。
入れ違いになったのでしょうか。
Oh, I saw her once.
変だね。それにどうしてゆりちゃんはさっきこの第5エリアに入れたんだろう。
はあ、それも妙だ。
It went without saying, but you needed a level 5 or higher card to open the security gate to Area 5. But all the cards they acquired so far were in possession of Watase, Kazami, and Jun. No one else should have had a card.
ゆりちゃん、カードを隠し
No,
持ってい
think
た
the level N card.
どうもそうとしか思えないな。でもどうしてユーリはそのことについて隠していたんだろう。
Yuri's motives had suddenly become incomprehensible to them. Yet another silence descended upon them. Eventually, Kazami broke that silence with a sigh.
ここで議論していても答えは出ませんね。ひとまず脳科学実験室に行きましょう。そろそろ約束の集合時間ですから。
何？もうか。
Watase checked his watch. It was 12:35 p.m. It was indeed almost time for them to meet up. Have I really been searching for that long? Watase followed Kazami and Jun as a vague sense of dissatisfaction coiled around him. He then called out to Kazami as they walked.
立花、内周島は汚染されていた。ユーリの身が心配だ。汚染区域になっているってことはユーリにも伝えたが、それでもあいつは逃げたんだ。
そんな、どうして？
俺にもわからん。以前にもこうして逃げたことがあったが。
Kazami hung her head when Watase said that.
AD の効果はまだ1時間近くある。それまでに探さなきゃまずい。もっともユーリはカードを隠し持っていたように AD も隠し持っている可能性はゼロではない。
Or a gun.
立花。
Kazami was dead silent. Perhaps she hadn't heard Watase. It was then that her lips faintly moved, releasing a small whisper. She sees everybody as some kind of family member. I'm guessing a little sister. Yeah, I trust her. Kazami picked up the pace when she said that.
Oi.
She didn't even turn around from that. Watase glanced at Jun. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Jun looked sadly at Kazami. Yeah, something's definitely up. Watase ran to Kazami as soon as he thought that.
なあ立花。
She finally looked at Watase after hearing him shout.
さっきからお前ちょっと変じゃないか。搬出リフトのところで少女の遺体を見つけた時も
Yeah,
渚
Nagisa.
がどうとかって言ってたけど。
お聞きになったのですか？
Yeah, I think everybody heard it.
今のお前はさっきと同じ感じになっているように見える。渚って何なんだ？なんでいつも冷静なお前がこんな風に。
Kazumi breathed a deep sigh at Watase's question.
お教えしておいた方が良さそうですね。
She then began quietly talking.
渚というのは
I
私
knew
の
it!
妹の名です。
妹？
ええ、もう10年近くも前に亡くした
Aww.
たった一人の家族。
Watase gasped. Kazami continued with her story.
当時私はレスキュー隊員でも消防隊員でもなく普通に働いていました。市営団地の一室で妹と2人暮らす生活。
Aww.
ささやかだけれど幸せな日々でした。だけどある日いつも通りに仕事から帰ってきた私が見たものは渚の待つ市営団地が崩壊している光景でした。
Oh no.
崩壊って一体何が？
ガス爆発です。団地を半壊させるほどの
That explains a lot as to why she's in this line of work.
私は何もできずただ立ち尽くすばかりでした。やがて消防車がやってきて渚は病院に担ぎ込まれましたがその甲斐なく
Kazumi's voice was as calm as always. In contrast, Watase's heart felt like it was shaking.
すまない。立ち入ったことを聞いてしまったな。
いいえ、隊長にこの話をするのは初めてではありませんから。
Watase had never cursed his amnesia more than he did now. I've gone and made her relive this painful story twice? But Kazami didn't seem bothered by it. She hung her head down and spoke.
渚が生きていればちょうど優里さんやリフトのところで死んでいたあの子くらいの
That's why she's so desperate to save them.
私はね、隊長、あの年頃の少女が傷ついているのや危機にさらされているのを見るととても冷静じゃいられなくなるんですよ。いつもは冷静沈着な完璧主義者を気取っていても一皮むけばこのざまです。
So I wonder, A,
この仕事についてしまった。
sorry, if that was the reason why Kazami died before with the stairs collapsing, but also if she did chase after Yuri and got to her, like if we weren't able to stop her, if Yuri would have killed her. I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if Yuri's a killer yet.
災害の現状は食材の場ではないのよね。お笑いくださいますか？
Kazami gave a self-depreciating laugh. Now Watase understood the true meaning behind Kazami's attitude towards Yuri. So being hard on Yuri was her way of showing concern. Watase, now filled with this knowledge,
笑うわけないだろバカ。
wrapped an arm around Kazami's head. Kazami jolted with a start and then froze.
隊長、おやめください。森部に示しがつきません。
Really? You're worried about Moribe? He could tell that Jun was staring at them from behind, but Watase did his best to ignore that.
いいから聞いてくれ立花。今の俺が分かった風なことを言うのはお前に対する冒涜かもしれないが今言わなきゃいけないことだと思うんだ。立花、お前は強い女だ。
Very strong.
高潔で勇壮で心底尊敬に値する女だ。だがいくら強くても傷つかない人間なんかいない。傷も弱さも隠し続けて生きていけるやつなんかいないはずだ。だからせめて仲間の前では少しくらい弱さを見せたっていいじゃないか。
Kazami gasped.
その言葉、
What?
やっぱ偉そうだったか。
いえ、
Kazumi said that and touched Watase's arm.
おっしゃる通りだと思って。それに正直嬉しい
Yay!
お言葉でした。
Aww. Kazumi then gave him a faint smile. It was a smile without the slightest hint of gloom in it. A smile Watase had never seen before.
そうか。
Watase felt a tinge of relief flood over him, and he let go of Kazami. Kazumi's face grew stern to hide the shades of red forming around her cheeks. Aww!
私のせいで時間を無駄にしてしまいました。脳科学実験室に急ぎ
She's
ましょ
so
う。
adorable. Kazami said that and broke off into a dash. And now Jun's gonna have something to say, right? Right? Watase tried to follow her, but then Jun ran up and gave him a pat on the back.
どうした？まずかったか？
いや、ベリーグッド。男前だね、隊長。
Thank you. Watase returned her smile, then ran off together with Jun. Area 5, Outer Ring, B2, Neuroscience Laboratory. Watase, Kazumi, and Jun filed into the room. Eda and Ukita were not far behind, but no one had seen Yuri.
私は地下2階を探していたんだけど、どこにもいなかったわ。
僕もだが。
やはり見失ってしまいましたか。
The gloomy look on Kazumi's face as she said that led Watase to bow his head.
すまん。
隊長のせいじゃないよ。みんなで探して見つけられなかったんだし。
Ukita suddenly spoke up when he heard Jun's comment.
隊長さんのせいじゃない？本当にそうなのだろうか。
Alright, I'm about to say before I put you in your place. What are you trying to say?
前から気になっていたんだが、ユーリ君は君に対して怯えていたような素振りがあったじゃないか。
Watase found himself unconsciously raising his voice. Ukita's observation hit too close to home.
おい、おっさん、それはどういう意味だ？
Yeah, fighting words.
そのままの意味だよ。第3エリアでの捜索中、ユーリ君が姿を消したことがあったね。
それがどうしたって言うんだ？
僕はね、あれはユーリ君が君から逃げようとしたんじゃないかとずっと思っていたんだ。
何？
浮田さん、どうしてそう思うの？
Yeah.
いや、君らは気づかなかったのかね。隊長さんが話しかけると、彼女はいつもビクッと身を震わせていただろう。
Kazami and Jun's faces froze over.
確かにそんな素振りはあったけど。
災害の現状で要救助者が極度に
Yeah,
怯えるのは
totally. It doesn't mean
よ
we
くあ
have
ること
any
です。
history to anything.
ましてこの場は稀に見る劣悪環境。あのくらいの反応は普通のはずなんです。
みんながそう思いたいなら構わないがね。しかしどうだね、隊長さん。君自身には何か心当たりはないかね。
Ukita, you're gonna be the last person I save if everybody's in danger. His voice lacked any strength. Watase had no basis on which to deny Ukita's suspicions. As for why, it was because he didn't remember anything from before he'd woken up. Did I do something horrible to Yuri? Before I lost my memories.
どうなんだね、隊長さん。本当に心当たりがないと言い切れるのかね。だいたい君はどうして地下に降りてきたんだね。なぜ記憶を失った？
Oh, you're asking me if I can remember how I forgot my memories? Is that where we're going with this, Ukita? I don't know why I'm getting so confrontational.
外傷による記憶喪失は時間とともに回復するのが常だ。なのにいつまで経っても回復しない。妙ではないかね。
It's been what, 2 or 3 hours? How long do you think it takes someone to get over trauma? Ukita's questioning had turned into an all-out interrogation. Jun chose that moment to cut in.
浮田さん、何か言いたいことがあるの？
あるとも。そりゃ、隊長さんの記憶喪失は嘘なのではないかということだよ。
Really? Everyone gasped at that declaration.
そんな、なぜそんな嘘をつく必要があるんですか？
何か隠したいことがあるからね。そう。いや、実を言ってしまえば、 僕は最初からそう睨んでいた。
Alright, let's vote him off the island. I don't like him.
何？
僕は数時間前君にセキュリティカードを奪われたね。おかげで僕は第3エリアから移動できなくなってしまった。
Okay.
だが今考えればあれだってかなり妙だ。なぜセキュリティカードを奪う必要があるんだ？我々職員に隠れて何かしたいことがあったんじゃないのか？
何かってなんだよ。
Yeah, we'll just back out and see what happens.
そんなことを僕に聞かれてもわかるわけがない。だがユーリ君の怯えと何か関係があるように思えてしょうがない。その上他殺隊がいくつも出ているんだ。怪しまざるを得ないだろう。
俺は何も悪いことはしていない。たとえ記憶がなかろうと。
ならばその潔白を証明してくれたまえ。
Okay.
無茶言うな。言いがかりだ。記憶がないってのにどうやって証明するんだよ。
Yeah.
そうだろうみんな。
Exactly. Watase said that and turned to Kazami and the others. I feel like we're about to put on the little brain thing back there on the table.
しかし
Kazami shut her mouth before she could continue.
でも確かに記憶がないのは
Jun looked at Watase for a moment with a flicker of suspicion. Anna didn't say a thing.
そんな。
Watase's feet started to shake when he saw their reactions.
分かっただろう隊長さん。ユーリ君だけではない。みんなも怯えているんだ。
You riled them up, dummy.
しかし俺は本当に。
なんだね。では記憶がない間の行動を説明できるとでも言うのかね。
Watase groaned. He was bitter that he had no comeback to that. Frustrated that he couldn't remember anything. And above all else, he desired from the bottom of his heart to know what he had indeed been doing. What in the world was I doing? What the hell was I... But just as Watase thought this, light burst open in his head. Watase instinctively held his head.
なんだ？
隊長どうしたの？
The rest of the group called out to Watase, but their voices sounded distant to him. His sense of time simultaneously lost all normality, as if every second were long and an eternity was short as a second. His vision grew disoriented and was dyed black. He heard a voice echo through the darkness.
隊長、地下に要救助者がすぐに来てくれ
Watase sprung off into a run when he heard those voices. There was a watch right in his line of sight. The hands pointed to 6:42. And right after his memory of seeing the time... Huh? A hazy scene emerged from the darkness. It was something that had happened right in Labo. Watase was running through some connecting passageway. What the hell is this? There were two men in protection suits running along with him.
隊長、こっちだこっちで足音が聞こえたんだ
Are they Dojima and Hiyama? Their voices were muffled, so he had a hard time making out what they were saying. His field of vision was also foggy. It was then that Watase finally realized it. I get it. I'm also wearing a protection suit. Before long, he heard a boy's voice through his protection suit. Watase could see a boy and some girls standing further down the hallway.
レスキュー隊だ
The boy shouted that as soon as he saw Watase and the others.
通報を受けて救助に来たんだよきっと
Okay. One of the girls jumped for joy and waved at Watase and the others. Next to her was one other person, a blonde-haired girl.
要救助者だ
Watase and the others ran up to them.
君たちは職員じゃないなどうしてこんなところに偶然ここにいて巻き込まれてしまったんです他に連れはいるのかいえここにいる3人で全員で
Okay.
名前は
夏彦とナチロそれからこっちはサリです
サリ
それはあだ名三宮ルイーズ・ユイを縮めた
Oh, okay, sure, of course. Watase checked the time as he did this. The watch's hands were pointing to 6:52. The scenery in front of him swayed and vanished at that moment. And then images flashed by one after another. What is happening? This is... We're just running in circles? They were sights Watabe had seen just a few hours ago. Fragments of his lost memories.
これはこんなところに AD が施設内にもこんな大量に保管されていたのか。
あなたは
レスキュー隊だ。君を助けに来たんだ。さあこの薬を。いやダメだ。これを投与しなければ危険なんだ。暴れないでくれ。頼む。
That's after he lost his memory.
逃げられてしまった。彼女はどこに？ N エリア。この先でメルトダウンが。頭が。
I'm so confused. They're gonna be like, oh, awfully convenient to you for you to remember what's going on. But I can't help it, man. My brain does weird things, okay? And with his scream as the finale, the images shattered and faded away. Alright guys, I'm back. Watase screamed again as he returned to reality.
隊長、落ち着いてください。隊長。
Kazami's voice brought him back to his senses. He realized he was now back where he'd started, the neuroscience laboratory.
大丈夫？
No, I'm not. You guys are stressing me out.
ああ、大丈夫だ。
Watase took a deep breath, then spoke.
それより思い出した。
思い出したって、まさか。
記憶が戻ったんだ。何？
Ukita's eyes widened.
バカな。ずっと消えていた記憶が戻っただと。
So do you believe that I lost him, or do you believe that I didn't? Come on, man, pick a side.
ああ、ほんの一部だが。
ちょっと待て。何を言い出すつもりだ。
どうってことはないさ。ただ俺の潔白を証明する足しにはなるかもしれん。
なんだと。
Watase then slowly began to talk.
順を追って話そう。俺が地下に降りてきたのは堂島と檜山に呼ばれたからだ。そう、確か地下に要救助者がいるという無線が入ったんだよ。
いつ？
いつだったか。そうだ、6時42分だ。
6時42分。その時刻は正確ですか？
ああ。
He checked his watch at that time. The hands were pointing to exactly 6:42. There was no mistake about that. Unless your watch is wrong. You know, maybe you're set to the wrong time zone, or no, I'm just kidding. There was something about that part that felt slightly off to him, but he decided to trust his memories.
そして第2エリアに行き、夏彦と真城、そしてサリュを見たんだ。
サリュ？
三宮ルイーズ・ユイのあだ名だ。由来は単純にフルネームを縮めたものだと言っていた。
Yep. His memories of the time were gradually growing clearer and clearer. He was sure that was the name Natsuhiko and Mashiro called her by.
隊長さんの言う通り、天川君たちは彼女をそう呼んでいたわ。
Anna added that. Kazami then spoke as if she'd also remembered something.
そういえば、私たちが地下に要救助者がいるのを見たのも
第2エリアだったね。
そうなの？
正確ではありませんが、時間もほぼ合致してます。我々が消火活動をしている時、隊長たちもすぐ近くにいたのかもしれません。
そうなんだろうな。
Watase nodded, then continued.
ともかく俺と堂島と檜山は夏彦たちを保護し救助活動を続けることにした。だが俺はいつまでも地下にいるわけにはいかない。すぐに地上に戻ろうと思った。ひとまず夏彦たちのことは堂島と檜山に任せ、地上に一人で戻る途中有利に会ったんだ。
それからどうしたんだね。
俺は彼女を保護し共に地上に出ようとした。だが AD を撃とうとすると彼女はなぜか暴れ、そして逃げ出したんだ。
暴れた？なぜ？
それはあの時も今もわからん。
Silence hung in the air for a moment, but then June's voice broke it apart.
でも確かにユーリちゃんは AD の投与をいつも嫌がっていたね。
確かに。それは隊長が撃とうと私が撃とうと変わりませんでした。
そう。そして嫌がる有利に戸惑っていると彼女は俺の手を振り払い逃げたんだ。その後俺は有利を探して走り回った。そして N エリアの近くに行った。だがその時頭にひどい痛みが。
頭痛？まさか放射線障害？
わからん。頭に衝撃を受けたような。誰かに殴られたのかもしれん。
Yeah, or maybe like, ceiling tile fell and hit you.
誰かって誰に？はっきりして重要なところよ。
すまん。
If I was hit from behind, I wouldn't know, would I? Everyone's so mad and sassy. Especially me. Watase unintentionally raised his voice, putting Enna into a startled silence.
記憶が戻ったと言ってもそのあたりはひどく断片的で時間や詳細はわからない。ただこれだけははっきり言える。
Watase looked square at everyone.
俺はユーリを助けようとしていたんだ。信じてもらえないかもしれないがそれは今も変わってない。
And with that, Watase's long story came to an end. It wasn't long before Ukita snorted.
どうにも頼りない記憶だね。
Dude, I want to vote you out of my
今の
group.
話が真実だという証拠はあるのかね。
Guys, am I the only person who's like frustrated with him? As soon as Ukita said that, one of Watase's memories came back. This is too convenient, Watase. You need to stop. Stop remembering.
これは
Stop.
こんなところに AD が。施設内にもこんな大量に保管されていたのか。
証拠はある。
何？
記憶を失う前俺は施設内で大量の AD を発見したんだ。
大量の AD？ どこでですか？
あれは
His memory became clearer in the blink of an eye. The fragmented images linked together like pieces of a puzzle to reveal its familiar location to Watase.
そうだ。第5エリア内周島の地下2階だ。
そこって私と一緒に捜索した例の汚染区域じゃん。
ああ、あの AD をここに発見した部屋、天川美代子さんの研究室だ。見落としていたがあの部屋にはまだ AD がたくさんあるんだよ。机の引き出しの中に入っているはずだ。
He was nigh certain of that. There was no way he could have remembered such a vivid memory incorrectly.
もしその AD が今もまだあるなら俺の話が本当だという証明になる。
I don't think Watase is doing himself any favors. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and lay that out there because if he's right, if his memories are right, then that could also lead to the fact that he's lying about his amnesia. So it's not gonna help any. Ukita's not gonna believe us one way or another. It's already in his head that we're suspicious, so he's not going to believe any of this. Ukita shut up at Watase's declaration. Jun and Kazami quickly spoke up.
私調べてくる。
私も行きます。
They then rushed out of the neuroscience laboratory. And then, just a few minutes later, Kazami and Jun returned, their arms full of medical boxes.
隊長、確かにあったよ。
あったってどのくらいかね。
驚かないでください。6つのメディカルボックスに
Oh!
30本の AD が入ってました。
30本？すごいじゃない。
Everyone's eyes widened at that piece of news. Watase was also surprised, but found himself breaking out into a genuine smile that was much more AD than he'd been expecting. Now see, of course you could say that since his memories just came back, he didn't remember them before, otherwise he would have gone for them, but I don't know, Ukita's too shady.
マジかよ。30本だって。延べ30時間分の AD が。
So we could just chill in here forever, right?
これでもう AD 不足に悩まされる心配は当分ありませんよ。
だね。それに隊長の話が本当だったって証明にもなる。そうでしょ、浮田さん。
Ukita looked away awkwardly.
信じてくれたか、おっさん。
No.
俺は有利に対してはもちろん、誰に対しても害意なんて持ってないんだよ。もし俺が悪いやつだったら、発見した AD のことを誰にも言わず隠しているだろ。こうしてみんなに包み隠さず話したんだ。信じてくれ。
Or you were waiting for this exact moment to prove your loyalty. As soon as Watase's earnest pleas reached Ukita's ears, the latter finally started talking with a bitter tone in his voice.
確かに君の言う通りのようだね。
Moribe? Okay. It felt like there was still a glimmer of doubt in his eyes, but as long as he understands, then that's all I need. June then walked over to Watase.
ごめんね、隊長。
It's fine.
すぐ信じてあげられなくて。
Watase saw guilt filling June's face. Thus, he made his best efforts to speak to her as cheerfully as possible.
なんだそんなこと。別にいいよ。
でも一瞬だけだけど、隊長の記憶喪失って本当かなって思っちゃったんだよ。
It's fine to doubt, it's just don't be an Ukita about it. He may have indeed looked guilty from another's perspective. Maybe it was best if I avoided doing anything that makes me look suspicious to the others from now on. Watase thought that as Kazami and the others spoke.
私は信じてましたよ。隊長は森部を叱るべきです。
It's fine. Although, Kazami, thanks for being on
私
my
は初
side.
めから記憶喪失って嘘くさいと思ってたけど。
Yeah, I know, Anna, and I hate you for that.
なんだよ先生。相変わらずズケズケ言うな。
まあひょっとしたらって程度だけどね。でもなんだか本当みたいだし、その記憶もちょっと戻ってきたみたいだし、めったにない貴重な体験したと思えばいいんじゃない？
あんたな。
それってポジティブシンキングの程度があるね。
でも確かに貴重な体験ではあります。
The group laughed slightly at those words. It was more of a fake laugh intended to try to make them all forget about the events of the last few minutes, but it still relieved Watase. Their escape route had been cut off, another body had been found, and they just lost Yuri on top of all that. Everyone was starting to get on edge. And their exhaustion was just piling up. So it was pretty much inevitable that a few arguments would pop up. That's right, I shouldn't worry about it. Everyone falling to pieces would be the worst possible situation at a time like this. And besides, the search isn't over yet. As a result, Watase forced himself to end his train of thought on the whole matter right then and there. Watase then quickly changed the topic.
さて、話がまとまったところで、それより大事な話をしよう。
ユーリさんのことですね。
ああ、この広い施設ではぐれちまったのは非常にまずい。
Everyone nodded and focused on the conversation.
それに夏彦くんたちのことも気になるよ。ラボ内を全域捜索したのに見つからなかった。
やはり彼らも移動しているんでしょう。もしくは見落としているか。
捜索の仕方を見直すべきかしら。
Ukita quietly spoke after he heard Enna say this.
AD を探すのも重要じゃないかね。気づかないかね。30本の AD を手に入れたところで相変わらず数は足りてないんだ。リフトからの脱出が叶わなくなった以上、隔壁が開くのを待つしかない。だが隔壁解放まで生き残るためにはあと5回 AD を投与しなければならないんだ。
そうか。ユーリや高校生3人組と合流できたとすると全部で9人。
じゃああと3時間少々しか生き残れない。
Watase and the others gasped as that reality hit them. Reality? Indeed, not everyone would survive if the AD they had there was all that was left. It'd be a different story if we just stole someone's AD before they could take it though. Horror at what he just thought immediately hit Watase in full force. It just felt like a life and death game of musical chairs would inevitably break out at this rate. We don't have enough AD for 9 people, so will it really come down to that? Are we about to pick who's gonna live and die? Oh god. Alright, Ukita, you're a dingus, but you're not the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 7 people here. I guess Watase is not in here. Yeah, he is. What am I talking about? Or no, he's not. He's just in the circle. Him and Yuri aren't in the circle. You know what? I'm gonna leave it the way it was and we'll see what happens. If they try to use the 30 ampules of AD to survive for the remaining 5 hours, that would be 30 ampules divided by 5 hours, enough for 6 people. Only 6 would survive. The other 3 would be doomed to their fate. 9 minus 3 equals 6. Watase worked out that sinister formula in his head. No, I mustn't think about that. Watase frankly dismissed the thought that filled his mind for a second. I need to be thinking of a way here where everyone can survive. Watase thought that as he checked his Procyon. Can I volunteer myself and then also volunteer Ukita and be like, what, man? You don't want to leave everybody hope? You don't want to let them live? Can I do that? Can I just put all that weight on him? Maybe not. Okay, the reading said 4,531 millisieverts.
このペースで汚染が進めば、いずれ施設内の全域が8000ミリシーベルトを超えるかもしれないな。
そうなれば AD があってもなくても一緒か。
まずいわ。どうすればいいの？
考えうるやり方は次の4つですね。
Okay. Kasumi said that, then looked everyone dead in the eye.
1. とにかく最優先で脱出口を探す。2. ユーリさんを含む要救助者と AD を探しながら脱出口も探す。3. 汚染速度を抑えるためゲートの破損箇所等を探し補修する。4. ユーリさんと要救助者と AD とゲートの破損箇所と脱出口の全てを探す。どの道を選ぶかで我々の命運が決まるかもしれません。
Everyone gulped. Watase then answered in a low voice.
まず4番の全てを探すってのは
Yeah,
現
that's too
実的
much.
じゃないな。あれもこれもじゃ何も成果は出せない気がする。
それに3番の汚染速度を抑えるためゲートの破損箇所を補修するというのもダメだな。前にも言ったがキューバしのぎの補修で汚染を食い止められるとも思えない。
では1番か2番、とにかく最優先で脱出口を探すか、要救助者や AD を探しながら脱出口も探すですが。
そんなの決まってるじゃない。2番の要救助者や AD と脱出口を探すよ。脱出口はあるかどうか怪しいけど天川くんたちは確実に地下にいるんだから。
それは言えるね。脱出口だけ探すってのはリスクがでかすぎるよ。
俺もそう思う。それにユーリは AD を持っていないはずだ。すぐにでも見つけなきゃまずい。
Because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket either, right? Everyone nodded gravely at that suggestion.
では消去法でユーリさんおよび要救助者と
I'm glad I didn't have to
AD
make
を
that
探し
choice.
つつ脱出口も探すで皆さんよろしいですか？
異議なし。
And with that, everyone was on the same page. Watase quickly moved to the next
じゃあ
agenda.
もう一度ラボを一周して隅々まで探すか。
今までと同じ回り方でそれとも逆回りの方がいいかね。
でもそれじゃ効率が悪いしまた行き違いになる可能性もあるわ。
So we're gonna split into groups.
だったら今度は二手に分かれ順回りと逆回りでそれぞれ捜索してみたらどうだ。
なるほど。もう火は消えているのは確認できているし少人数でも問題なく回れそうだね。行き違いになる可能性も減るしさ。
そういえばプロキオンを第6エリアで見つけた。これを使えば3チームに分かれることができるが。
3チームですか。となると誰か単独行動を取ることになりますね。
I don't know if I want to leave anybody 100% by themselves. Anna, Tachibana, Moribe. I don't know what you want me to do with this, but I'm okay with that breakdown.
はぐれてしまう危険性が高いです。やはり2チームに分かれるべきでしょう。
Watase mulled over the situation once he heard Kazami's reasoning. Then, how should we split up the teams? Watase hesitated to make a choice. After the incident just a few minutes ago, he was having trouble deciding who to team up with. What should I do? Which one of these people can I trust the most? The most? Tachibana. Sorry, Moribe, I trust you too, but Tachibana for sure. Ukita, you're not even in the picture, bro. Watase finished thinking it over and finally gave his answer.
Tachibana, おっさん、俺と組まないか?
I don't want Ukita. Please, can he search on his own? Is that cool?
No, 別に構わないよ。
Though he didn't show it on his face, Watase was relieved to hear that. Ukita's dangerous. It seems like he currently viewed Watase as someone not to be trusted, but there was no guarantee that he wouldn't shift hostility to others. It just feels too dangerous to let Moribe and Teach team up with him. Though Jun was a rescue worker, she was still very young and a bit mentally unstable in some ways. And Enna was just a civilian. Due to that, he reasoned that Kazami combined would have no trouble dealing with Ukita if he were to cause any trouble. That actually makes sense. I didn't even think that far ahead, to be honest with you. Kazami gave Watase a slight nod. Perhaps she'd figured out what he was thinking.
了解です。では、捜索ルートは
Kazami took out her PDA and began explaining.
我々が現在いるのは第5エリアになりますから、第4エリア方面に進むチームと第6エリア方面に進むチームに分かれましょう。
じゃあ合流地点は？
我々もすれ違う可能性がありますから、ここでいいのではないですか。ぐるっと回ってなお要救助者に出会えなかったら再度出発すればいいと思います。不測の事態が起きたり1時間経っても何の成果も上げられなかった時も一旦ここに戻ることにしましょう。
We meet up together and fire up some more AD, right?
だな。ならはぐれる心配もない。
AD はどうする？これ全部持ってく？
Jun was talking about the 30 AD they just
いや、
found.
なるべく置いていこう。何かあって破損でもしたら本当にヤバいし。それにひょっとしたら彼らがここに来るかもしれん。そうすれば少なくとも彼らの手に渡る。
では我々はひとまず2時間分
Good
1人
idea.
当たり2本持っていきましょう。
Kazami said that, then gave the rest of the group 2 AD for each member.
じゃあついでにこんなのはどうかしら。
Enna took a pen and paper lying around the room and started writing on it. Dear Mr. Tenkawa, Miss Toba, and Miss Sannomiya, it looks like we got caught up in the same disaster today, huh? Really? Really? I've been looking for you guys this whole time, but we haven't had any luck. So if you happen to find this note, I ask that you please stay right where you are. What you see here is radiant exposure inhibitor known as AD. It's a drug we've been using to protect ourselves from radiation. It'll protect you for an hour or so as long as you inject it into a vein. Keep injecting yourselves with it and wait in this room for help to come, okay? I'm looking forward to seeing you alive and well, from Miss Enna. She wrote that charming little letter in cute handwriting.
ね。これを扉の前に置いておけば、さらに行き違いになる可能性が減るでしょ。
なるほど。完璧だな。
よし、それじゃあ装備品を分けよう。
I was gonna say, what if somebody else comes across it, but I'm already mentally in the headspace that there's nobody else in this building besides who we've already met. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue, like a third party coming across this stuff. The group nodded, then split up the gear as they'd acquired so far. First, there were the security cards. Watase held on to the level N card. Oh, so he's had it. Okay, I literally thought Yuri swiped it from the girl, but I guess Watase had it. Okay. Kazami, Jun, Enna, and Ukita each took a level 6 card. Watase's team also took 2 of the Prokions, while Jun's team took the 3rd. The group then left the room.
我々は 第4エリア方面へ進みますので、森部と椿山さんは第6エリア方面へ進んでください。目的は AD と要救助者の捜索および脱出口の捜索ということで。
了解よ。
Anna posted the note she'd written on the door.
森部、先生のこと頼んだぞ。
わかってる。喧嘩なんかしないで力を合わせて捜索するよ。
Okay, thanks, Jin. Jun and Anna then departed in the direction of Area 6, sorry. A fight. I wasn't implying that at all, but... He'd said that as a warning to Jun to keep an eye out to make sure Anna didn't end up in any kind of trouble. Now he was a bit worried about what Jun had said, but...
何をしているのかね、隊長さん。
我々も行きましょう。
Watase started walking towards Area 4 as he kept those tiny fears in his heart. The security slot for the gate from the outer ring on B2 of Area 4 to Area 5 had been burned, but when they came to the other way around, the security slot was totally intact. So Watase's group used that route to get into Area 4. Area 4, Outer Ring, B2. The area where Saryu had run off, where the flashover had nearly killed Watase, Kazami, and Jun, and where they'd found Hiyama's body. The reading on the Procyon read 6,610 millisieverts.
さらに汚染が進んでいるな。
しかし AD があればまだなんとか大丈夫なはずです。
そうとも。手早く捜索を済ませ、次の第3エリアに進むべきだ。
Okay. Kazami and Ukita were right. Just as they found the ton of AD didn't change the fact that they were short on time. We need to be more careful to make sure we don't waste any time from this point onwards. Watase thought that for a moment, then spoke up.
それじゃ、捜索開始だ。時間は3分くらいで行こう。
ええ。
The team immediately began to search the outer ring. But there weren't that many rooms, so the search probably wouldn't take all that long. Watase ran down the hallway and headed for the elevator hall. For the room where Hiyama's body had been put to rest, but as he drew near... Watase's eyes widened. He could tell that something was off. It's like something that should be here isn't. He soon realized what it was. Oh! The group had put the fire axe that had been in Hiyama's body in front of the door as a grave marker of sorts, but...
斧がない。
That's not good.
そんな、どうして。
誰が斧を持っていったんだ。
The group had been together the whole time, meaning it couldn't have been anyone else but one of the 3 survivors. No, wait, couldn't Yuri have done it too? Now that Yuri had run away, they couldn't say for sure that she couldn't have come here and taken the axe. But why would they want with an axe? Watase had no idea. But then he had a horrible feeling about all of this.
とにかく、捜索を続けよう。
Ooh, I hope somebody don't die. The group said that, then resumed the search. But their efforts were as fruitless as they'd predicted. They went to search B1 next. Area 4, Outer Ring B1. Going up a flight didn't stop the Procyon's alarm, of course. The reading was 4,612 millisieverts.
それでも、地下2階と1階では、えらい違いだな。
ですが、ここもいつ汚染されるかわかりません。今のうちに捜索をしてしまいましょう。
Yeah, let's get it done. Watase's team grouped up and searched B1. They didn't find any survivors in the outer ring, and the situation in the inner ring was no different. Yuri and the others were nowhere to be seen in the control room. They also checked the Area 5 connecting passageway to be safe. The ceiling had collapsed there, leaving them unable to proceed.
ここにもいないようだね。
ああ、だが、
Watase was curious about the collapsed ceiling.
この天井の割れ目、地上まで続いてないかな。
Of course I'll trust her.
続いていないでしょう。この手の割れ目などはすでに私と森部で散々調べましたし、それにもし地上まで達するような穴があったら、とうに司令長たちが突入してきているはずです。
Kazami's words made sense.
まあこんなところに都合よく脱出口があるわけないよな。
残念ながら以前にも申し上げましたが、脱出口がありそうな場所は全て私と森部がすでに調べました。天井、エアダクト、エレベーターシャフト、非常
I
階段、
believe they were very thorough in their search
全
as
てあの
well.
交番に囲まれていて隙間もありません。まだ見落としがあるかもしれませんが、とりあえず要救助者等の捜索を優先しましょう。
だな。じゃあ第3エリアに進むか。
Watase and the rest of the team then left the connecting passageway. Area 3, Inner Ring B1. Kazami muttered quietly as soon as they entered the place.
ここは
Kazami was looking at the room in front of her. It was the room where Dojima and those 2 researchers had died. There's bodies behind that door even now. Watase's body froze when he thought about that ghastly spectacle. But he did his best to hide his fear and spoke up.
ちょっと待っていてくれ。
隊長さん、どうするつもりだね。
いないとは思うが一応な。
Yeah. Just then, he thought he saw Kazami's shoulders tremble slightly. He quickly found himself worrying about her.
立花、お前は行かなくていい。あの部屋は俺が確認す
Good
る。
on you.
はい、申し訳ありません。
Watase walked up to the room in front of him and opened the door. The scene that lay behind those doors was exactly the same as the last time he'd seen it. It doesn't make it any less gruesome. But he could tell from a glance that none of the survivors were there. Watase quickly left the room. When he did, he saw Kazami looking at him with fear in her eyes.
隊長、
ああ、大丈夫だ。要救助者はいなかった。
I mean, that sentence there seems kind of harsh, but we're talking about a different kind of survivor, so.
だろうね。あんな部屋にいたら生きている人間もおかしくなりそうだ。
There was something unsettling about how Ukita had said that, but Watase ignored it.
ともかくこの塔に部屋は2つしかない。もう一つの部屋を捜索しよう。
ええ。
The team then headed for that room. What lay there was a large laboratory. There were a lot of blind spots, meaning it'd be hard to tell right away if anyone happened to be collapsed behind one of them.
ここならひょっとして。
ええ、物陰に注意しましょう。
了解した。
The team then began their search of the room, but there was no hide nor hair of the survivors or any AD. Then, while I'm at it, Watase decided to look for information. Several documents were scattered on the floor deeper in the room. Perhaps their pages held a hint to escaping this facility that Watase's team didn't know about. Is there anything useful here? Watase walked over to the documents, started picking them one by one, and then read them. But what they said was, Area 3 Personnel Social Gathering. Hike around Lake Rokume. Senior Fellow Training Seminar, Accepting Applications, April 2016. Dr. Miyoko Fan Club, Meeting Notifications, September 2018. Outline of the 7 Wonders of Rokume City, August 2020. Special Observation Target NA2, Third Periodic Report, August 2021. And I clicked past the other one. Sorry. All of them had meaningless pieces of information, incomprehensible to Watase. What's more, they were all fairly old. Guess I shouldn't get my hopes up. Watase picked up another paper as he thought this.
NBC 発生時警備マニュアル。
Kazami peeked over his shoulder and spoke up.
隊長、何を見ているんですか？
よくわからん。NBC ってなんだろう？
ああ、NBC とはニュークリア、バイオロジカル、ケミカルの頭文字
So
で
it's
す。
not National Broadcasting Company? Corporation? Is that what it stands for? I don't remember.
例えば NBC 災害といった場合、核、細菌、化学物質による災害の総称ですよ。
In other words, this manual probably describes security measures to be taken during an accident much like this one. But I thought they valued evacuation more than security in these kind of situations. Watase's thoughts were interrupted by a voice behind him.
二人とも何をやっているのかね。
Why are you so mad? They turned around in surprise to see Ukita looking at them furiously.
ああ、いや、脱出経路のヒントがないかと思ってな。
そんなことをしている場合ではないだろう。
Search for a way out and look for survivors. What are you talking about, bro?
それにこの施設にある書類はどれも古いものだ。9年ほど前に紙媒体の撤廃と総デジタル化が決まってね。一応書類は廃棄されずに残ってはいるが、そんな古いものにろくな情報などないさ。
防災マニュアルはあれは2030年版と書いてあったが。
防災マニュアルだけは有事の際を想定して最新のものが印刷されて配られているんだよ。だがそれも含め本来この施設にあるものは全て機密扱いだ。前にも言ったね。機密を知るべきではない。トラブルの元だと。
Yeah, so you don't want any of the secrets leaving the facility. I get it. You want to trap us here. I'm finding a way out.
しかしこの非常事態にそんなことを言っていては。
これは単なる脅しや冗談ではない。君らの身のためを思って言ってるんだよ。
Maybe you need to think about your own safety, Ukita.
国家が運営に絡む研究施設というのを甘く見ない方がいい。
Okay, and also potential terrorists?
外に出てから平穏に生きたいのならばね。
Ukita's eyes had an almost bizarre intensity to them as he spoke, as if to say that this world contained far more frightening situations than the disaster they were trapped in. Watase was overpowered by that look and found himself replying on instinct.
わかった。すまない。
Watase, I need you to stand your ground, man.
この部屋の捜索は切り上げ、先に進もう。
Watase still felt dissatisfied with the situation, but he and the others left the room for the time being. But as soon as they left the room, Watase smelled something. The stench of something burning was filling the hallway from somewhere.
何か焼けてるんじゃないのか？
この匂い、一体どこから？
The group carefully followed the stench to its origin. They then arrived at a stairwell, only to find it full of thin smoke. They looked towards the bottom of the stairs and spotted a tiny fire flickering behind the staircase.
ぼやのようですね。
おっさんは危ないからちょっと後ろで待っててくれ。
わかった。
Oh, I was gonna save, but my bad. Once he confirmed that Ukita was now outside the stairwell, Watase descended the staircase with Kazami. Sure, I guess. Watase's the hard one. They then checked out the small
消え
fire.
かかってた炎が再燃したのか。
階段の影になっていたせいでスプリンクラーでは鎮火しきれなかったみたいですね。
The fire was fairly small scale. Putting it out would probably be a piece of cake. Watase determined that and immediately started giving out orders.
ともかく立花、放水ホースを。
はい。
Kazami obeyed Watase's orders and ran off into B2. What is with this sound? As soon as she'd left, Watase noticed a fire extinguisher sitting next to the fire. A fire extinguisher? It wasn't odd for there to be a fire extinguisher in a stairwell. It looked like the fire nearby was almost trying to crawl over to the fire extinguisher. Watase felt shivers run down his spine for some reason when he saw that. What is it? He heard footsteps at the same time. Kazami had returned.
隊長、ホースを。
Uh-oh. Watase started shouting right then.
立花、こっちに来るんじゃない。戻れ。
Kazami froze where she stood. Warning signs were ringing in Watase's head.
危ない。
Watase lunged for Kazami as he shouted that. And right after he dove out of the stairwell with her, there was a brilliant flash behind him. Oh, snap! So did we do good? Or did we die? Uh-oh! I don't know if we died or not. Oh my god, there's so much going on in this game. Watase forced himself to stay conscious and then opened his eyes. Everything around him was engulfed in thick dust. What the hell just happened? It seemed that the small fire had ignited something, causing an explosion. But as to what that something was, don't tell me. Watase then heard a voice under him. Kazami, are you okay? It was Kazami. She was lying on the floor, shielded by Watase.
大丈夫か立花。
Are you okay? Kazami looked at Watase with trembling eyes, then her face warped in agony. Uh-oh.
どうした？
Oh no. Watase looked down to see a scrap of iron about 15 centimeters long impaling Kazami's left calf. As he stared at it, he saw blood ooze out of the wound and drip onto the floor.
これは。
A voice came from the stairwell at that moment.
おい、二人とも。
Oh, shut up, Ukita. I don't care about you. It seemed Ukita was unharmed.
ちょっと待っててくれ。すぐ戻る。
Watase then ran over to the stairwell. The explosion had completely destroyed the staircase. Watase looked up at Ukita, gazing down at him from the open doorway to B1.
おっさん、無事か？
ああ、幸いね。そっちはどうかね。
立花が負傷した。
なんだって。それで怪我の状態は？
命に別状はないが、足をやられてる。近くの部屋に連れてって手当てしようと思う。
Do we have any of that gel?
おっさんはどうする？
階段がこうじゃ降りられん。僕はこの階から進んで次のエリアの捜索をしておくよ。
分かった。だったらこいつを持って行ってくれ。
Watase took out his Procyon and tossed it up the stairs.
受け取った。それじゃあ僕は先に行くよ。
ああ、くれぐれも気をつけてな。
Watase finished his talk with Ukita and hurried back over to Kazami. Oh, please be okay. Please be okay. Hang on. I'll just back out for now. Kazami was trying to get up on her feet by herself. But all it did was make her impaled leg hurt even worse. Her face warped with agony more and more.
バカ、怪我人が無理するんじゃない。
大丈夫です。これくらいの傷。
Don't act tough.
平気です。
それのどこが平気なんだよ。いいから、俺の背中におぶされ。
Watase said that and squat down, his back facing Kazami.
しかし、それでは捜索に支障が。
We need to heal you first.
そんなこと言ってる場合か。今のお前は負傷者なんだ。死の子の言わずに言う通りにしろ。
はい。
Kazami put her weight on Watase's back. Watase hurried over to a nearby room, feeling the softness and weight of her body leaning against him. The pair entered the closest room, the surveillance room. Watase laid Kazami down on the floor.
悪い、ズボンまくるぞ。
ええ。
There was no time to be hesitating. Watase rolled up Kazami's pants and grimaced instinctively. Kazami's pale leg was drenched in blood. Her wound wasn't that deep, but it was fairly wide. Can I really treat this with Chiron? Impossible. Even if he were to apply the ointment to her, it would just continue bleeding in this state.
立花、医務室に行こう。あそこなら治療できるはずだ。
待って。
What? 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 Kazami grabbed Watase's sleeve and spoke. I'm
動脈は無事
tongue-tied.
のようですから、ここで十分治療できます。
だが、これは縫わなければ。
縫うのには時間と技術がいります。ですから、これを。
What are you gonna use? Kazami then took something out of her breast pocket.
これは
医療用のホチキスです。これで
Okay.
傷を塞
I
いでくだ
mean,
さい。
it's weird that you have that, but it also makes sense you have that.
しかし、
早く血が流れてしまいます。
Watase resolved himself and took the stapler. He then pressed it against Kazami's wound.
お願いします。
行くぞ。
Ooh, that has to hurt. Watase then pressed the stapler. Kazami's face twisted in pain.
大丈夫か？
Kazami nodded as she kept her eyes shut. Watase hardened his heart and pressed the stapler once again. 5 staples were enough to seal the wound. Watase then used half of the Chiron tube on the wound without worrying about how much he was using. Soon enough, the bleeding stopped completely.
よし、終わったぞ。
You okay? Kazami's breathing was pained.
ありがとうございます。
痛むか？
多少は。しかし許容範囲内です。
Okay.
そうか。よかった。
Kazami suddenly smiled when Watase said that.
なんだか懐かしい感じです。
Nostalgic?
いえ、シリウスに入隊したばかりの頃を思い出したんです。よくこうして怪我をして隊長に叱られてましたから。新人の頃はお前は危なっかしくて見てられんと言われたものです。
へえ、俺からするとなんだか意外な気がするけどな。立花にそういう時代があったなんて。
When she heard Watase talk about himself like he was someone else, Kazami frowned.
隊長、本当に覚えてないんですか？例えば私との記憶はどうですか？何か思い出せることはありませんか？
The look in her eyes was almost pleading. I have to save it. I'm not messing this up. I mean, look at that face. How could I mess this up? Right? But Watase couldn't lie.
すまん。本当に何も思い出せないんだ。
そうですか。
Kazami then grew quiet. Watase suddenly felt like he had to say something to former girlfriend. That's the name of the chapter. My face is probably hiding it, but... And at that moment, a memory abruptly resurfaced in his mind.
どうでしょうか。
Nuh-uh.
スカートなんてもう何年も履いてなかったから変じゃないですか？
いや、よく似合ってるよ、風見。なんだ。
Oh! It'd only been for a second, but he'd seen himself with Kazami in what appeared to be a park.
記憶がどうかしましたか？
Also, he just called her Kazami. That's like no formality at the end of the name.
なんかお前がスカートを履いている姿が。
その記憶ってもしかして。
なんだ、立花。心当たりでもあるのか？教えてくれ。今の
Tell me,
何の
what
記
was
憶
it
なの？
about?
それは。
頼むよ。もしかしたらそこから他の記憶も蘇るかもしれないだろう。
Kazami started blushing for some reason when she heard Watase's heartfelt plea.
どうしてそんなことだけ思い出すんですか？
Oh.
そんなのなんかずるいですよ。
ずるいって何が？
But at that moment, Watase turned around in shock. The dark monitor next to him was reflecting his face. He recognized that face. It was the same one he'd seen in the photo in Kazami's pocket. No way. Or locket, sorry. Then that means the memory was...
なあ、立花。もしかして俺たち付き合ってたのか？
When Watase said that, Kazami...
昔ね。
Oh! Confirmed his guess.
昔って今は？
Yeah, so apparently they're not together now.
もうずっと前に別れました。
そうか。
Watase had no clue as to what he should say.
ロケットの写真に気づいたんですね。
She still has feelings though.
あなたの写真を入れたままなのは変える手間を惜しんだだけです。
Of course. Uh-huh. Watase didn't press her on that rather flimsy excuse. He decided to ask another question instead.
どうして別れちまったんだろう。
私たちは似た者同士でした。似た部分があるから心も通ったのだけれど、似た部分がありすぎると長く一緒にいるのが辛くなります。おそらくそういうことかと。
That's so sad that she has to like rationally calculate like why their relationship fell apart. That's tough.
そうか。
Now that he thought about it, Kazami had mentioned something like that way back when. She said that he was an intellectual rescue worker who always made rational decisions no matter what the crisis. That described Kazami perfectly, so it really seemed like they were a lot alike.
でも何にしろ 俺は大バカ野郎だな。
Exactly.
お前みたいないい女。
Oh. Those words came instinctively flowing from his mouth, straight from the bottom of his heart.
どうしてそのようなことを。
変か？
だって隊長らしくもないお言葉です。あなたは決してそのようなことを言う方では。
一遍記憶を失ったおかげで少しは素直になれたのかな。
Maybe.
だとしたら記憶喪失になるのもいいもんだな。
冗談でもそんなことは。
ああ、冗談だよ。でもな、お前がいい女だってのは本音だ。何度も命を救われたし、本当に頼りになるし、強くて意外に優しくて時々可愛いところも、別れたことを後悔したくなるのも正直なところだ。
お言葉とても嬉しいです。だけど今は脱出のことを考えましょう。
Fair enough.
そうだな。
Fair enough. We gotta escape, right? Watase's face tensed up when he said that. He decided to push all that sentimentalism off to a far corner of his heart for now.
じゃ、俺はそろそろ捜索に戻るよ。
あ、それでは私も。
無理するな。ここでしばらく休んでいるんだ。
ですが。
It's okay.
いや、ダメだ。今のお前は危なっかしくて見ていられない。
Watase borrowed his past self's words to get the point across. They appeared to have been enough to reach her.
わかりました。隊長の言う通りにします。
Good, good.
回復したら脳科学実験室に戻れ。そこでみんなと待ち合わせしよう。それまでは壊れてない監視カメラの映像でも見て、要救助者がいないか確認しててくれ。
はい、お任せください。
Watase took Kazami's Procyon and headed to the door. However, Kazami then called out to him in a low
隊
voice.
長、
どうした？
Kazami paused for a few moments after Watase turned around, then continued.
いえ、気をつけて
Oh,
く
my
ださい
heart!
ね。
My heart. It's not here, but like, you know, my chest, apparently. Watase gave an obedient nod, then left the surveillance room. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this episode here because we've gone through a lot, and that just made my heart just melt into a puddle of emotions. So we're gonna go ahead and leave this right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next MAMJ. Let's play.